Okay, good morning, Ultimate Business Support. I had just started the live stream a few minutes earlier so we would get some people knowing that we're on live. And as with every single Monday morning, if you're brand new to these calls, we bring these to you just as a value add to the Ultimate Business Support group, as well as now live streaming since that's been available. So good morning, Joe, on live stream, and good morning, Adair, on GoToWebinar. Looking forward to a great week. Me too. I'm off to Sydney this afternoon, and then I get to stay put for about 10 days before we do our Queensland leg. So if you do have questions, comments, please just post them in the question box on GoToWebinar, obviously in the comments box on live stream, and I will handle as many of those as possible. It was quite a heated call and a discussion last week, and I was just reviewing a little bit of the bits and pieces that we went through last week because I think I didn't get a lot of chance to cover off the objections, the sales objections, and why do they arise. So we're going to go through that this morning. But before we do so, we went through last week around the sales mindset, the fact that you must be sold on your stuff, be congruent, be willing to buy it yourself, be willing to go through heaps of no's. Doesn't matter how experienced you are, you're still going to get a hell of a lot more no's than you're going to get yeses in terms of wins, and the necessity to continue learning and developing little sales tips and tricks along the way that would work for you, and also what style would you have as a salesperson. Good morning, Jenny, as well, and hey, Wendy. Okay, so those were the key insights that we kind of spent most of last Monday morning, and then we sort of rushed through in terms of overcoming objections, which is what we're going to handle this morning. Okay, so I wonder if you guys remember what were the top 5 objections that people come up with when they are wanting to buy from you. Like, well, obviously these are little blocks that they put in between saying yes to themselves. So Adair says, I can't afford it. Yes, that was definitely the top one. So let's open that one. I can't afford it. You must have even written these down. It's almost written the same way it was typed up here. What else? What else was the worthy of what else belonged in the top 5 objections? While you guys are typing this up, absolutely. A little side note here to my PowerPoint is always agree with your clients even if you don't. Oh my gosh. So what does this mean? Often we without knowing that we're doing that, but often what people can tend to do is make the customer feel wrong for what they're saying, even if they say I can't afford it, when our response should be, yes, this is a expensive program, or I completely agree with you. So agree with the customer every single step of the way, because at the end of the day, you guys are on the same team. I have to ask my partner from Colin Slater. Yeah, absolutely. Or I don't have the time is number 2, and then I have to talk to my spouse is number 3. I got distracted from a day. Ask my partner, she also said that as well. And the last word, I need to think about it, right? And number 5 was my intuition, or my inner voice is telling me no. Okay, so this one quite a lot of these everyone got last week, but the very last one is my intuition or inner voice is telling me no, because there is quite a lot of people out there who listen to their gut, listen to, hey Christina, nice to see you as well on there. Okay, so how do we overcome these objections? Well, the key thing is to handle them before they arise, right? Because a lot of the time people will be going through these things immediately. Their little ego, their little subconscious mind, or even their critter brain is trying to keep them safe, or in a way, so that they don't, the little prehistoric critter brain only knows life or death. So life or death means that if I do this, I'm going to die. Therefore, no, I won't. So therefore, I'll come up with an excuse of I can't afford it, I don't have the time, I have to talk to my spouse. Thank you for all the love hearts. I love them flying across the screen. Awesome. And they'll come up with any excuse. Our subconscious mind will give us any excuse served up on a platter, but that is not really the issue. when it comes up, it's either fear of stepping up and taking that leap of faith, or some of these other reasons that I thought I would discuss on the very next page. Okay, so why objections come up. So if the fear or not valuing themselves enough. So lack of self-belief or worth. I'm just going to be reading these for live stream people. I know you can't see these, but these will be on the Go to webinar. So lack of self-belief or self-worth. That is that people often, in many cases, they don't value themselves enough to say, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest in this product or this service. And that can be a lot in cases where they need to take on a different journey to really stretch themselves part of their outside of their comfort zone, and they don't believe that that is possible for them. And it's a really it's sad, but this to overcome this, I have done a lot of personal development and a lot of whenever I feel sick in my stomach. So that feeling that you get in your tummy when you're about to take a leap of faith into especially into big purchases, buying a house, buying a car, investing in a big high-end program, all of that sort of stuff. That kind of feeling is actually your body's saying to you, maybe you're going to die if you go there, but you won't really. It's just like what is it called? An ancient way we were developed, and usually I see that as a sign that I should take the action. When something is making me feel sick, it means that I should take the action. The second reason I believe objections come up is when people don't fully understand, or you haven't been successful in establishing value for what they're about to invest in. So you've talked price before you've established value, or you have not communicated the value of your service or your product well enough for the person to go, oh my God, the value of this service or product is way greater than the asking price. And often, and then there are those people who kind of go, okay, this person has told me how to do X, Y, and Z. Therefore, I think I can do it by myself. I often get this in my book writing workshops that I do. People will often observe how I do a book unpack in front of an audience, and of course, it's so easy for me to guide the person that's at the front of the room in terms of how we pull it all together. But last week, as I said, when I was traveling in Adelaide and Perth, I realized that it wasn't that easy for people to do it themselves once they were sort of put in little groups and they didn't have the expert sitting in on everything they were doing. And that was my big insight, is that yes, people can read my books, they can come to my introductory seminars and get snippets of what I teach, like you guys are getting right now. But unless I get to work with them fully and hold their hand and take them through the whole process over a longer period of time, as our programs are in what we our high-end programs, then they can't do it for themselves, because they don't know the intricate details of what you need to ask, what you need to think about, what you need to adjust, and how you need to adjust it. So don't think just because you give away your best stuff, and often people try not to give away as much as possible, they don't they hold back. And whereas for me, I'll just give people as much as possible, because I know when they're going to get the biggest results when they work with me. So in saying that, don't think that people can do it for themselves. Yes, there will be those in your audiences, people that you meet, that you have sales conversations, that are going to say, oh, I got this stuff for low cost or free, I'll just go off and take action myself. It's not going to happen. It ain't going to happen. I was just telling the guys interstate last week, in over 100 of my preview events to my retreats, I would say on average 20 people, 15 to 20 people come per event. Let's say I've spoken in front of 1,500 to 2,000 people over the last 3 years since I've been running my retreats. And it is only 2 people out of those 1,500, 2,000 people that have gone beyond that particular event and written themselves a book. Okay, through and I think a couple of them chose some different providers, which is all cool. So so the percentage of people actually going out there and doing something themselves just because they've gotten a little snippet is not likely. This is why don't hold back, because if you held back and haven't established the value, they're not willing to then go the whole way and actually invest in to get the whole answer to their problems and their solution to the problem. So what I'm saying here is ensure that you give up, communicate and discuss and even share or solve some problems for your clients even before they've started working with you. So how can you perhaps establish and give your clients results in advance so that they can start seeing the bigger picture of what it is that you will work with them on when they actually pay you? Okay. So that's don't see the value in themselves and they think they can do it themselves. This is why an objection comes up. The following one I've got here is it's not quite high enough on their priorities list. So when they kind of come to see you, they have had this thought about doing something, but they haven't really considered it. It's important. They think they want to do it, but it's not quite the next thing to do. What your role as a salesperson is to get them to see how important and to push up that priority right up to the top of the list so that it is the very next thing that's super important to do. Now, again, I'm going to tell you something, like I said last week, and I love the very last slide that I have for you guys, which is an awesome little quote that I found just earlier, is that selling is not deceiving someone. It is serving them. It is enabling them to push their life and their quality of lifestyle a lot further forward. Okay. And if you know that what you're providing is amazing and it's going to do that for the person, then work your little heart out in terms of convincing them or getting them to see the value and the high urgency of priority around what it is to invest in you. And so our role and our job in a sales conversation is to get them to see that this is the very next thing for them to do. And the very last one I have here, why I've noticed objections come up, is that people are not willing to do the work. So this one is this is where people go, I'm not sure if this program will work for me or this product would work for me. I'm not certain. It can go from something that's little, because often we don't spend money on something that we think we're not going to use and we're not going to utilize. So in everything, products or services, you need to use them properly and consistently for them to do any good to your life and everything. It's not just a fleeting moment and of a decision that you have made. So so often people don't trust themselves. Why? It's because if in the past they have had evidence that they were not that they did not follow through when they have invested on a certain product or a service, that is when they tend to not trust themselves to invest again. So maybe this story might seem familiar to some, and you may have heard this before. But for example, when people come up with the objection of I need to talk to my spouse or my partner, whoever it is, often it is because they are worried that their partner is not going to agree. So definitely they have to run this by them. And in most cases, the partner won't agree, because people who have done the work and they have followed through on past purchases of products and services, if we're talking about this world, because most of you that are listening are in some kind of a service-based business that you offer coaching, mentoring, health advice, whatever it is, that's who tends to be in our community. So try to sort of translate everything that I'm saying for if you're any different to that. But if someone has invested in the past in a business, in a program, in a mentor, and they just didn't do the work and didn't get return on investment, and numerous times their partner had supported them, What do you think the likability of their partner now supporting them into this new next venture? It's not going to be very high, because if they didn't follow through, they're not going to get supported by their partner or spouse on the next thing that perhaps could be quite a large investment. So here we go. The mindset would be from the partner, here we go again. He's so excited about this thing, and they're going to think that it's going to change their life, but it's just going to be like last time. They're going to do and be full on into this for a few weeks, a month, whatever it is. But it's just going to be another thing that we flush the money down the toilet for, and it's not going to create any change. So this is where you get a spouse who has not met the, say, salesperson. Let's talk about the salesperson that's going to go, okay, who are, and also it's like they're going to have this mindset is like, who is this person that who's been brainwashing you? They'll start to assume that the salesperson is the bad person, because they don't want to be stuck in a situation of how it was in the past. So Christina says the next something shiny. Yeah. So when you have been caught up in the shiny object syndrome, you're really going to have a struggle of getting your support from your partner. And when you're a salesperson, you are going to have these people, and I can tell you're going to have a lot of these people who are going to say, I have to talk to my spouse, I have to talk to my partner. Because on some level, if they're not on some level achieving some kind of a success, or they're not the main breadwinner, depends on who your target market is, they are going to definitely have to talk to their spouse. And if they've had this pattern of buying into, being caught up in the shiny object syndrome, the shiny object might be amazing if you do work with it and follow through and actually take the advice and the guidance of whatever it is that you've invested. That could bring a lot of new and wonderful things in your life and lifestyle. But if it is shiny object, as in you look at it, you play with it a bit, and then you toss it to the side and flush the money down the toilet, then that's not good. So the first thing we need to reevaluate, and this is actually for yourself as well, because if you have done this in your own life, you are likely to attract people who do it as well. So people who don't follow through. So actually start from yourself, because nothing's outside of us. Everything, we attract similar things to what we are and who we are into our lives. So if you follow through, if you're disciplined, if you see through completion your investment in programs, in services, in products, and you actually don't waste and throw out your money. I don't even freaking buy a book on my Kindle that I do not read from start to finish. Like, all my books on my Kindle have been completely read and then highlight, or whatever it is that I do with all of my books. I actually don't get on to the next book purchase until I have finished the first one. And how many people do we know that's starting from that very simple action of purchasing a small product like a book, and then they have their whole Kindles and things like that just clogged up of stuff they've never even looked at twice. So I read my books on the plane, as we take off, as we land, and as I get to about 80 or 90% of the book that I'm currently reading, that's when I'll look and see if I pick up another book. But actually, I do not have anything, any mentor, any program, anything I've invested in. I've had to do the work. I've had to be willing to do the work and follow through. Otherwise, I would feel like I'm actually not being committed to myself, and that I'm actually being very wasteful. So no one likes to be wasteful in their lives, but there is many people that can have the pattern that they get used to sort of paying something off, and then it's like, oh yeah, we've passed that, that wasn't for me. And often people can give themselves that excuse, that just wasn't my passion, or that just wasn't my path. But the path to success, unfortunately, does take on discipline and consistency, and over a long period of time. Adair's just saying, I'm just going to have a look here. Great comment. I've noticed that as my standards improve, the quality of people I attract improves too. Totally. The quality of people you will attract will only increase if you continue to develop yourself. There was another little quote on the book I was reading as I was flying back home from Perth the other day, and what that quote said, and I don't know who said it or whatever. It's just off the top of my head, but the quality of your lifestyle will not improve unless you increase the amount of personal development that you do for yourself. So when we said at the start of this call that if you want to become a better salesperson, you better be working and studying and educating yourself more on sales in terms of watching videos, reading books and things like that. My books are really in three areas. I read lots on sales. I read a lot on money and wealth and having that mindset on how I need to educate myself and my kids, and then sometimes just pure personal development, or how I need to think, feel, just that guidance. And reminders often, I've done so much personal development and nothing too much is new, but the reminder of it, of what I need to do and say and think for myself is so, so important. So the last few minutes, I'm just going to read books, Forgotten World in this Forgotten World in this crazy electronic world. I have a mixture of printed books and obviously Kindle books because of my travels. I carry so many of my authors' books and my own books that I don't have any room for my own reading. So therefore they end up being on Kindle. Can I say professional development rather than self-development? What if you can say whatever you like, but I think we need both of those. Okay, so the last point I wanted to make here around objections is seeding. So how do you, what stories, case studies, examples from your own life or some of your clients' lives do you have where you can seed around what it is you want your potential prospects or clients to think and how they want to analyze these objections for themselves. So I don't have time to go through all my stories and examples that I normally do in my half-day event, which is my author preview event, but I do a section called the author mindset. And the author mindset section is it's not put in there to be dishonest. It's actually raw fact of the 7 common reasons why people say yes and take the leap to become an author, whether through us or through someone else, it doesn't matter. And the 7 common reasons why people don't say yes to themselves, and they actually hold themselves back and make everything else more important than this. So I go through 7 common, reasons why people take the leap of faith. And through those reasons, I have embedded stories and examples and case studies as to how someone thought first and how they turned that into, how did they solve that particular problem. I use sometimes stories of my authors, and sometimes I use my own stories and my own moments of where I've needed to take the leap of faith and to actually push myself across the line to work with someone. So seeding is about, I heard a beautiful little story, which I've now continued to tell myself. But often people want the luxury of hindsight before they've taken the leap, but we don't have the luxury of hindsight to know what's going to happen. We have to first take the leap, or in this case, say yes, and then we need to work out the how. And there's a little story that someone shared with me a few months ago. Now I've been sharing it in some of my workshops, is that if you observe Mother Nature and if you actually watch what happens as the mother duckling gets followed by the little ducks. So this is seeding around people saying yes and then working on the how and not waiting for all of their ducks to line up. So you watch Mother Nature and you watch the mother duckling being followed by the little ducks in one little line, and they look wonderful. But it is the only, so that everyone wants in life to get all their ducks to line up. But what you will see is that if the mother duck says, yes, I will turn now, go this direction, that it is only when she has said yes, then the little ducklings will then line up behind her. And then if she wants to turn again towards a different fork in the road, if you like, if we can use that metaphor, then the little ducks will then start to change their direction and know what to do. So it is only when she says, yes, I will take the leap or go this direction, that everything else lines up. Whereas people like to know, yes, I want everything in my life to line up in order to say yes. Well, it's not going to. When was it the last time that you have a significant change in your life where you knew exactly how things were going to turn out? That most of the time when we have to take that leap of faith is when we are in the shit, when we actually are struggling, we have this problem that we need to solve, and it freaking hurts. Okay, and that's when we generally don't have enough time, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough support, and we feel sick to our stomach because we feel that this is going to be the leap to take. So you have to say yes and then work out the how. The how will work itself out. You make the hole, you're going to figure out how to fill that hole, because you're going to have your back's going to be up against the wall to figure out how to fill that hole. Okay, so that is one point and one example of how you can tell a story to seed the fact that people need to back themselves and say yes before they work out the how. Because it's only when you're courageous, I believe, that the universe will reward you. I don't believe people who wait and sit and keep timing, get the timing right before they can, go on to and take that leap. Colin just says people need to get past thinking they're not enough. That's right. And it's most likely it's not that the people actually need to value themselves enough to say yes to themselves. So those were some of the insights I wanted to share this morning. I can't believe how quickly this half an hour always goes. I'll just show the people on live stream. This is some of the stuff that we have had happening on our screen. And as we go through to the last couple of minutes of this call, I'm just going to share with you guys what's coming up and what's available. So we will be back again next Monday at 9 a.m. Melbourne time. On the 3rd of October. I'm just making sure it's in my diary. But in the meantime, just an update of what's happening. Sydney UBS is on tomorrow night. I will be in Sydney, but I will be flying back home at that time. So if you are free, look up the link that I'm sharing right now and go along. Adelaide last week was fantastic with Colin Slater, and Adair came to see me, which was wonderful. So check out the Sydney one, and I'll get some more links for the other cities as the upcoming dates come up. Planners, let me just get out of here. The 2017 Ultimate Planners are still up, available and selling like hotcakes, but I'm sure that it won't be for too long. So if you want to get your hands on a planner, by the way, you guys, I am doing a webinar on planning this Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Melbourne time. And that will be the 3 common reasons why people don't follow through on their plans, and a whole stack of stuff on how to plan. Because last year we did use the concept of how to use the planner, which is an additional little webinar that I share with everyone that buys the planner, so they can understand what all the sections are. And the very, very last thing is that 11th of October and 10th of November are our VIP marketing days or planning days for 2017. And this is where we get 10 people at our home for those 2 days to come along and plan out all of 2017, as well as feed them and give them a whiteboard calendar and all of this sort of stuff as part of their full day with us. So if you're interested in coming along to one of those days, they're an investment of $597. We are giving away 12 months of our Inner Circle membership and 1,000 days. Natasha Denman reveals 1,000 days to $1 million coaching business from home book for those 2 bonuses. But there's only 3 spots on the 11th of October and 5 left on the 10th of November. They were super, super popular last week. Christine's looking at her planner right now. So my very last quote that I chose for you guys today is this: that selling is not something you do to someone, it's something you do for someone. And the wonderful Zig Ziglar came up with that, and I found it online this morning, which I thought was really, really cool. And it is, as I said before, it is completely serving serving people to be able to grow and expand and have a better quality of life. So I hope this has been valuable. I have loved bringing these sales talks to you the last couple of weeks. Who knows what's going to happen next week? I never know. I don't plan these too much. They're pretty casual, but I love to know. What else would you like to hear? Uh, Donna, you're in for the 11th of October. Please send me an inbox message and I will get you organized for that. All right. Mwah. Thank you for all the love hearts that are coming. And guys, log on again next week. We're going to have a whole lot of fun. And I'm going to post this GoToWebinar with the PowerPoints on YouTube in a second. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel. So, mwah, mwah, mwah. I'm going to go have a quick coffee before I go into two-hour preps with my gorgeous authors, Leah and Kimberly, getting them ready for the November retreat. Bye, guys. And Christy, you're in on Thursday. Bye.